Jyoti, I want to welcome you to the Beat Your Anxiety Summit. And, obviously this summit is focused around anxiety, and a lot of these viewers, if not everybody watching, is struggling with anxiety in some way. And this summit is really geared towards people who, spend a lot of their time, focusing out here, and there's not a lot of awareness of what's going on in here. And you're a yoga instructor, and like I was saying, I'm new to yoga. I don't know much about it, but I'm excited to hear more about it. So Jyoti, can you tell this audience who you are, what you do, and what motivates you to do the work that you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Jyoti, and I run an organization. I founded an organization. I don't really run it day to day, but called Special Yoga. And we started with a yoga center in London, which and now we're a centerless, but we're a global training school. And our work is predominantly focused around children and children also with special needs. So that might be children with autism, that might be children with Down syndrome, that might be children with physical limitations. It might be, anything across that kind of learning difficulty spectrums, all of the arena, because actually special needs is quite a big picture today. And I think in the world that we exist in today, anxiety is so high that the children are also really suffering. And, we've almost got anxiety disorder as a special need really in vast populations of youth. And of course, mental health the crisis of mental health was bad before COVID. It's got significantly worse subsequently. And so I found yoga myself in 1974 and found it as a healing modality for myself, having come from a fair bit of trauma as a child. And so I kind of sort of stepped into it knowing that it was kind of the path that was going to heal me, really. And I think that one of there's lots of different perceptions about what yoga is, which could be anything from some weird cult to, contorting yourself into pretzel-like shapes, with skinny women in gyms or in yoga centers. And neither are actually correct, because yoga is a philosophy, it's a way of life, it's a way of being. And there are pathways through the yoga traditions that take you there. And one of them is through physical movement and what we call asanas, which are the positions. Another is breath work. Another is kind of beginning to understand your connection to yourself as a pathway to the connection to something greater than us. So, and there are a number of different pathways into getting to that place. And of course, one of the things that anxiety does is what happens is we get caught inside our head, and we lose the sense of our bodies, we lose the sense of who we are, we lose that connection because we're so caught up in thinking. And one of the things that yoga says is we are not our thoughts, any more than we are our emotions, any more than we are this body in some ways. So we're a whole being that's made up of lots of different bits. And what the yoga does is it connects all those bits together, yokes them all together in order to help us to regulate ourselves, to calm our nervous systems, to clear the madness. When we regulate our nervous systems, one of the things that happens is your thoughts, that kind of overactive thinking that one could describe as anxiety reduces.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, I think a lot of these viewers are probably asking, like, first of all, is this even possible? Like, I can regulate my own nervous system without prescription drugs. Or for me, when I was having panic attacks, I'd be at work or something, and I'd have to go to an office, and I would lie on the floor with some YouTube meditation for 2 hours. It would take hours for my body to calm on down until I actually learned, I don't have to leave it up to whatever to calm my body down. For those of you listening, what we get to learn today is you can take an active approach. You can become a participant in, how your nervous system is reacting to the world around you. Right.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that's very prevalent in our work at Special Yoga is that if we can regulate ourselves and calm ourselves, then what we do by default of that energy is we create a circle of safety for the children in our care. And whether that's you as a parent, whether that's you as an educator, whether it's you as an auntie, a grandma, it doesn't really matter. You create a different circle of safety for the children. And with the prevalence of mental health crises in children today, as the adults around them, we owe the generations to come the gift of calming ourselves so that we model that as a way of being for them.
Yeah, this is so important. Like, and this is something I reiterate all the time as a hypnotist, is like, often like clients are like, where did this habit come from? Like, why am I doing this? And it's like, well, it was probably learned by who you spent most of your time around, and that's it. Like, it's not, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not dysfunctional. It's just like, this is a habit you've taken on. Right.
And I don't think anybody needs fixing. I think we're all, we all are where we are, but it's learning how to work with where we are to bring more peace, really, and kindness, particularly to ourselves, and I certainly, I'm in my mid-60s. So, and I think anybody, in my generation, older than me, younger than me, even, we weren't brought up in understanding that, we matter. We've all been brought up to do for others, to do this, and we can't function from an empty pot. I was saying to a teacher that I'm working with the other day, just imagine for 1 second how much more you could give if you were filled up.
Yeah.
Actually,
and where you could give from, right?
And where you give from, because most of the time you're giving from an empty pot. So you're kind of slightly fractious all the time. And actually your energy, your anxious energy is just, whether you want it or whether you want to do it or not. I mean, none of this is conscious, is immediately passing to another. It's like, if you go into a room and somebody's just breathing peacefully, you feel peaceful because you pick up that energy. Whereas if you walk into a room with somebody who's highly anxious, you're going to walk out feeling,
It's just transference, right?
Transference of energy, So we owe it to everybody around us, whether we have children or don't have children, to learn how to regulate ourselves. And yoga is a very useful way of doing that, when used well, because it rebalances the chemicals in the brain. It works on the autonomic nervous system. And when you start to learn how to calm your breath down and actually feel your body, experience what things feel like in your body, and start to be kinder to yourself, everything changes. Yeah. It's actually not rocket science. It's just a new way of doing things for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm really curious, like, Jyoti, what are the specific struggles that you find with the clients that you serve? Like with, you mentioned children who struggle with like autism and, these conditions.
I think a lot of it's anxiety, very, very, very high anxiety. So often, I think certainly in the world of children with special needs, these kids aren't really welcomed into the world. We're trying to fit them into our world. And when they don't fit, we get annoyed. I'm not talking about me, but I'm talking about, the wider societal existence, because we don't really understand them. And I often think if we could see the world through their eyes, we would learn so much more rather than trying to get them to fit into ours. So what we're working with are kids who have sensory needs, whose autonomic nervous systems are way out of regulation. And, their behavior then kicks off, and their behavior is just a communication that says, actually, I'm not really okay, but I don't know how to manage myself.
Yeah.
Actually. And, if I'm really stressed out or really overwhelmed, I'm not very pleasant to be around, and I don't think most of us are actually, you can't hear things properly. You can't, I don't want people near me, I'm kind of edgy, I don't want to live like that. I made a choice not to live like that,
Yeah. I learned what I learned. I was blown away how my thinking affected like my physical body. And that's what really started to get my interest of things like Pilates and yoga, because I did competitive bodybuilding for a few years in my 20s. And it's all like, go hard, push harder, like intensity, like just PRs, drop the weight, like, and I ended up hurting my back. And now, this is something I manage but for some reason, yoga and like slower physical activities, like slower ways of moving my body and exercising didn't interest me, because I was like, no, I need to push harder. It needs to be intense. I need to go fast. And of course, that was a mere reflection of how I was thinking. It's like everything I was doing had to be intense, had to be fast, had to get done, just get it done. And then of course it took my, hurting my back to kind of wake me up and realize, oh my gosh, like I have no core strength. My muscles are just shot. Like I can't even stand on one foot without being really wobbly. And I bet this is resonating with a lot of people. Like for those viewers listening, like, are you struggling with like physical pain? Right? Because this physical pain isn't random. Like it doesn't just show up because, right? There's a reason that I'm sure you see a lot of people with like physical pain.
We see so many people with physical pain, and I've always kind of believed that the body is a pathway to your emotions as well. So that if there is pain in your body, it's linked to some aspect of unmet needs, of a lack of self-care, lack of self-love, lack of self-compassion, fear of moving forward, fear of going backwards, there'll be some kind of fundamental basic emotions that will be tied up in the physical pain. And so if you can kind of work on the two together, you can start to move forwards in a more useful way.
Yeah, I bet for the viewers listening, this was a habit I had, was like, oh, if it hurts a little, just work through it, like just push harder, just push through it. And that was my old mindset, because I just cared about the end result. Like who I was being in the moment, what I was feeling didn't matter for so long. And it was just now when I notice, when I feel back pain, instead of leaning into the back pain and pushing harder, now I'm like, okay, this is a sign. This is a signal that I need to actually, attend to something. And so now that triggers me. Okay, it's a lower back, it's a core day, it's a Pilates day, it's time to exercise in a slower manner. And I know that was hard for me for a long time to accept. And I had to go through a grieving process of this intense life and just pushing harder. And it was scary. I'm sure for people watching, like the thought of slowing down, I bet scares a lot of people. Like, what if you just, instead of going, doing, what if you just decided, like, let me just take a leisurely walk. Let me just relax. Let me just be like you said. I think you said earlier, we're not human doings, like we're human beings.
And we've lost that one, that's for sure. And I think there's also so much sense of needing to achieve out there in order to feel good about ourselves. But actually, we need to feel good about ourselves irrespective of what we achieve out there, because we need to, it's like cultivating a sense of kindness to ourselves, and then we get so much more done, but in so much healthier way, because we're peaceful with it. We're not trying to get somewhere, we're just being in a state of being. And actually, at the end of the day, any parent really wants their child to be happy more than they want them to be a doctor or achieve something, to be honest. But we forget that. And we forget the importance of our own peace, and the value of feeling peaceful inside, because we don't know what that is anymore, because we've gotten so much into a striving way of, I have to do this and I have to do that, and actually I'm of the view in this stage of my life where I want to do less, not more, most of the time.
I remember one of my goal was like, oh, when I lose weight, that's when I'll slow down. That's when I'll be happy. That's when things will be okay. And of course, I hurt my back and I wound up putting on a lot of weight, had my own existential crisis. And, and I'm sure a lot of viewers here, is this resonating with you? Like, are you trying to get somewhere in order to be happy? Or do you need to be at that goal before you feel good about yourself? And this is a hamster wheel, all of us, I think, have been on at some point. And then we realize, like, oh my gosh, like once I even get that thing, there's something else I want. And then I get there and there's something else I want. And when am I going to be happy? Like, why am I not happy now? Why do I need that thing? And Jyoti, I'm really, I really want to ask you to like, can you describe to this audience, maybe for those people who are not in tune with their bodies, and maybe this is resonating with them, they spend so much time in their head thinking and strategizing and, you know, linear logical, you know, just planning and all this stuff. Like, what is the first step to begin to tap into our bodies? Like, what does that even look like? Because I'm sure this may sound abstract for a lot of
Well, I
people.
think the first thing is willingness, you know, so it's just being willing to do it. So if you were just to right now put your feet flat on the floor and just feel the connection of your feet on the earth, and just perhaps wiggle your toes and just notice the sensation. It doesn't have to be anything other than just, there'll be some sensation, because when our, you know, our feet touch the ground, there's or any part of our body touches anything, there's a possibility of sensation. And then what we could start to do would be to bring your hands, for example, perhaps onto your belly and just, or onto your chest, and just notice the rise and fall gently of your breath. And just start to, and then the other thing I really like to do is give myself big hugs to acknowledge myself. And that way I can feel my body. So if I give myself a big loving squeeze, I'm starting to feel my arms, you know, I can feel right down into my hands. And then all of a sudden, there's a sensation going through my fingers. So the sensation will distract me from my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. I could feel the tingling in my hands and my arms, just doing this.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like, try this, everyone at home, like try and just really.
It's just like, you know, it's like somebody giving you a hug. It's just like, but you can give it to yourself.
I love it.
And it's learning how to do, it's very simple things, really, I think, that just allow us to, okay, you know, maybe I can self-soothe, actually. Maybe I don't need to medicate out there. Maybe I can self-soothe.
Yep. And I think this self-soothing, again, I think a lot of people are new to this world of like being able to heal themselves from, like, you know, just using natural and holistic ways. And this is incredible news for everyone, right? Like, you don't have to go, you know, argue with your spouse to resolve how you're feeling. You don't need to go yell at your kids. You don't need to go, you know, I'm not here to tell you to not, you know, not resolve things, right? But, you know, we can't expect other people to manage our emotions. And I know for me, as a recovering people pleaser, I was like, no, I have to make them see me. I have to make them hear me. I need their validation. And at some point I realized this did nothing. This did very little. I wasn't happier. And, you know, whether it's hypnosis or yoga or acupuncture or Reiki, whatever it is, you get to soothe yourself and heal what's going on inside. Like, nobody can do that for you, right? Yeah.
So, you know, it's learning how to meet our own needs, you know, it's learning how to listen, you know. So the gift that I've given to this course is a heart meditation, where basically we invite you just to put your hands on your heart and say hello to your heart, and just, you know, how often do we do that, you know, and say, how are you today? What do you need? So actually you're talking to yourself, you know, and you learn how, you know, by doing a practice like that on a daily basis, you learn how to listen to yourself. And so some days you just want to feel like you're wrapped up in a duvet or a blanket. So just imagine wrapping yourself into a blanket, give yourself the squeeze, put yourself in a blanket, even if need, you know, if need be, but learn to tend to your own needs and learn to listen to them first, and then learn how to tend to them with kindness. You know, we're all human. We all have human frailties. You know, we're all perfectly imperfect. We're all, you know, sitting wherever we are. You know, we all sit with uncomfortable feelings. We all have uncomfortable emotions. It's part of the human experience. So it's actually learning how to be the human mess that we all are and be okay with it, actually.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And I think what might come up for some people, I can already maybe hear some people asking, well, hang on a second, if I'm just okay with it, then I have no motivation to go after my goals. And actually, this is not the case.
Not at all. What it does is it allows you to refine your goals to ones that actually are true to you, not ones that you think you're going to do because you want everybody to love you.
Like, I just
your dad said, you know, you're not good enough unless you do that.
Yep.
It's those kinds of things that will start to just gently make a shift inside you. You know, maybe your goals change, maybe they don't change, you know, who knows? But you'll come to yourself and you'll work towards them in a kinder way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And probably achieve more because you're calmer and you're more connected.
Yep. Yeah, to who you are, right? Not to who you think, right? Who you're conceptualizing that you need to be.
Exactly.
Everyone else.
And I really feel that we as the adults we have a responsibility to the generations, you know, beyond us to model this kind of way of being. You can't shout at a child to calm down and expect them to calm down. You have to be calm, right?
Yes. It sounds obvious, right? Like, it sounds obvious, but it's like we do it kind of unconsciously, probably. And you know, and look, it makes sense, right? Like, if you raise your voice, like, you're going to create a threat response inside another person, and then the minute that their guard is up, of course that guard's going to go up. Like, where is there room now to, you know, effectively communicate? So you know, hypnosis is really about being able to communicate so that, you know, people's guards don't go up. They don't, you know, they're not getting to fight mode, because then we can't communicate effectively. We can't help each other. You know, I can't help that customer or that client. And so and this also happens with ourselves, right? Like, if we're speaking to ourselves in a way where we're shouting at ourselves, we're creating like a threat response in ourselves just through our internal dialogue.
Of course.
Right.
So, you know, when you start to change the internal dialogue and you start to be able to sit with the more uncomfortable feelings that are really nothing more than being human, right? Nothing more than that, you know. You know, and accept, you know, yourself as, you know, as the human being that you, beautiful human being that you are, with all the things that come with it, you know.
Yeah, I like to tell people there's only one of you. Like, that's it. Like, once you're gone, there's not going to be another one of you. Like, you're so unique. And if you could uncover what makes you different from the person standing next to you, like, that's it. That's what makes you beautiful. And that's what makes you special. And like, that irreplaceable person, you know. And until you can see that, it's gonna, you know, you're gonna struggle to get that respect, or for others to be able to see that. You know, I know a large part of this audience, being people pleasers, you know, you want everybody to give you respect. You want everybody to see you, hear you, validate you. Well, you can't even begin to start to do this if you can't already do that for yourself. If you can't make yourself heard versus try to force someone to hear you, right? Like empower yourself to start to make that change, to take initiative. And whether it's yoga, whether it's you know, hypnosis or Reiki, or just be, you know, tuning into your body. You know, Jyoti's already given us just a quick exercise to start to do this. Like, start to do this every single day. I mean, are you going to continue to go through the rest of your life like this, right? Are you going to continue trying to think your way out of your problems, right, that were created on an emotional level? It just, you know, how much more time is going to go by till you start to change what you're doing, and whatever, to get to that goal, whatever it is, you know, to be happy, to be comfortable, to feel good in my body, that was a mind-blowing experience for me. I learned that I could feel good in my body without losing the weight. That was just, but my goal didn't go anywhere. Like, I still did the thing to lose the weight, but I could feel good about myself. I could feel peaceful without having to actually go through and go get that goal. And that's really, you know, that's so significant. That's so profound, I think, for people who are on this hamster wheel of trying to get, go, you know, grab, get that thing, go after that goal, pick up the kids, you know, go to work, cook dinner, take care of everybody else, you know. And you know, Jyoti has supplied us this heart meditation to start your journey. Like, add this to you know, everything else you've been gathering from the summit. Use this, start today. These are tools you can use right now. to move forward. So click the link below, go get this free meditation. It'll take you to your website, Jyoti. Goes to your website.
Yeah.
Yep. So check out her website, check out yoga. If you have more questions, reach out to Jyoti, but go get this free gift and add this to your journey. Do this today. I'm telling you, I could already feel the tingles in my neck, in my arms, in my hands. And it's such an amazing feeling to give yourself a hug. So Jyoti, I want to thank you so much for your time. You've been such a valuable asset with all your wisdom and knowledge here. And I'm really interested in learning more about yoga and even trying it. So thank you for your time. And, it's just been such a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.